Hello and welcome to the Business of Cake Making podcast. She's Bronya.
And she's Sammie. Good afternoon. How are you, my love?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm very excited for today's guest.
I know. We've got a guest. We haven't had a guest for quite a while. And today we have got a guest. Mm-hmm. We're really excited about it.
Yeah, definitely.
So who have we got?
Okay, so we've met this lady a few times at Cake International, and so I'm really happy to say our guest today is Carol from Cakes by Carol. I've just noticed that my spell thingy has put an E on your name, but it hasn't got an E, has it? That must be a pet hate of yours, a pet hate of mine when people spell my name wrong. So we will be talking to her about her cake business, which is based in Peterborough. She's super motivated. She does so much, from making wedding cakes, birthday cakes. She's got an amazing online community. And of course, her amazing cake smoother, which was my product of the week last week. So hello, Carol, and welcome to the podcast.
Hello, lovely ladies. It's so exciting to be here eventually.
I'm so
planning,
pleased.
isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, so much going on though, and you're so busy as well.
Well, so are you ladies.
Yeah.
Try and get three of us in the same place at the same time. It's quite hard.
Yes.
I know. Yeah.
So I'm going to jump straight in and ask, what sparked your passion for cake making and inspired you to turn it into a business? Was there a specific cake or a moment that made you think, I can do this?
And it was not. I'm not saying I don't hate to admit it, but I have to admit it was Shane. Because
Really?
I used to be a chef many moons ago, and I trained as a chef, and then I joined the army, and my passion was working in the pastry side of it. We'd always say, when we were posted or moved anywhere, they said, do you like doing pastry work? I said, oh yeah, I love it. And I used to go to the pastry section all the time, and I used to make cakes. Obviously, it all starts, as many cake makers do, start off with making birthday cakes for their children, and that's where I found my passion. I really enjoyed it because you haven't got anybody telling you a specific way to do that cake. You could do whatever you wanted to. And back in the day then, there wasn't the internet, whereas the internet is just full of imagination and inspiration, isn't it now? And I think that one of the last cakes I did when Shane was in the army was a wedding cake for his boss. I mean, little did I know how much wedding cakes cost back then, and how much time and expertise you have to do when it comes to wedding cake was then. And he just said, well, I was like, wow, and that's when the internet was just coming in, thinking, have you seen how much they charge for wedding cakes? And little did I know why, so why don't you do it as a business? So when he came out of the army, I did part-time agency chef work while I started building a business up, and I haven't looked back since then.
Wonderful. So I didn't realise you were in the army. So you are a trained pastry chef.
Well, no. I went to catering college first, did 2 years at catering college, and then I worked in a hotel in Bournemouth.
Okay.
And then I joined the army because I'd always wanted to join the army. My dad used to be in the army, and it was just something that I'd always wanted to do. So I joined the army as a fully qualified chef. So my background and as in my training, I knew more than what most senior ranks did, as in presentation and working on stuff. So yeah, and that's how I met Shane. He was onto a good thing. He knew I could cook breakfast, lunch and dinner. He thought, I'll marry her, and he did.
It's all about the food. All about the food.
Yeah, especially with my husband. And you know how skinny he is as well.
How long were you in the army for?
I did just under 4 years.
Wow.
We couldn't, because Shane was due for a posting, and we couldn't guarantee that I would get posted to the same unit he was going. So I just took the decision just to to come out, and and that's what I did.
And you've been making cakes ever since then?
Yeah, well, ever since. Well, I used to make cakes when we were in the army as well, because we used to have competitions in the army.
Wow.
And that was then at Hotel Olympia, because you know how long Hotel Olympia's been going for. So that was then, and then when obviously the kids were born, I had cakes, and then everybody knew that I could do cakes. So that's how it kind of started. I was setting the stones, as they say, as it goes. To start making cakes. And when he came out of the army, I just thought, you know what, I don't really want to be a chef anymore, because as with all trades, things change, don't they? And the chef world had changed, that people were taking things out of packet or using frozen stuff, and that was not my training. When my beliefs as well as making being a chef, should I say.
Lovely. So you also teach. So you make cakes and you still make cakes. You're still making wedding cakes.
Yes.
But you teach as well. So when did the teaching start?
The teaching started, I think, just before COVID, and then it really took over during COVID because we all know what happened there.
Yeah.
And it's just a lady who she was in Cyprus, and her parents lived in Peterborough, and she said, I've been looking for someone to teach. So she came to me for about a week, and I just taught, just sort of dipped my toes into a little bit, and I thought, I really like this, passing on my experience and hints and tips and what have you. And then in COVID, it just took off, and then I think we did a course, like a business course, sort of how to plan the teaching, and how to market it and the website stuff and everything. And then it just took off from there, and people were asking me, do you have a memberships? We'd love to do a wedding cake membership.
Wow.
Or can you do this and can you do that? And as you know, it does take a lot of planning to do all these things, a lot of effort behind the scenes. So and it just took off from there basically. And it was the kind of plan, as in it's like passive income.
Yeah.
To slow down with the cakes and do more of the teaching. I mean, I still do more high end, the wedding cakes and the large bespoke cakes, but there's a lot of bakers out there, or cake makers out there now who can take on what I first did when I first started baking cakes. So as you get along, the more experience you get, the higher end of your cakes get.
Yeah. So you do in person and online teaching, don't you?
Yeah, in person, and we our most popular one is the Master the Basics ones, which a lot of people is when they're first starting out, or the people baking and not too sure about doing things and they want to just get that sorted out. And then we do the online ones where we have live training online, or we have recorded video. Most of them are recorded because it's worldwide online. Not everybody can attend the meeting, so it's all recorded and loaded up. And I think that's the beauty of the lounge, is that people could just go on and watch it whenever they feel like it.
Yeah, and that's great. And that's, most of us cake makers in lockdown suddenly lost all our business, and the fact that you kind of suddenly had something to fall back on, that's a great
I think
opportunity.
Really we had no choice, because we were doing large birthday cakes and wedding cakes, and as soon as COVID happened, that got took out of our hands. We had no choice.
It was illegal.
And if it wasn't for the smoother, we would have been one of those businesses that would have to give up, because the smoother saved our bacon. That what we were losing in the wedding cakes, literally, the smoother made up for it, because all of a sudden all these cake makers popped up.
We're going to talk about the smoother now, because
we are.
So where did you get the idea for the Sharp Egg smoother?
Well, the smoother, it came out, I had to check that it wasn't 2009, it was 2018, and it took 2.5 years to get onto the market.
Wow.
We had to find the right developer for it and the right person who would do it to make it food safe. And it all came about is that, as in quite many tools that we see online, we buy these things and they don't do what they say they're going to do. And I tried so many smoothers, flexi smoothers, all sorts, and it just wasn't giving me the results that I wanted it to give, basically, and to get quick results. And that's what it's all about. It's not necessarily the quicker you can work, but the more efficiently you can work without having to have something else and something else in there. So my son just said to me, so why don't you see if someone can, develop it? So I had, and a lot of people when we first brought it out, is what, the edger, the black one.
Yeah.
And I had that, and I just wasn't getting anywhere. And the amount of times I dropped it, it broke. And a lot of people said, well, it does look very similar to that. I said, well, it does look very similar to that. But then you can say that BMW looks similar to the style, the back end of it looks to that. So we said to the manufacturer, said, look, we want it to be made a lot thicker, taller and easier to hold as well, so that we can use it on any cake. I mean, people have asked, can we make a smaller one? I said, well, the bigger one just does exactly the same. If I do it on a smaller one, and it just wasn't. Yeah, I'd love to. Give me something else, but they cost so much.
Yeah, and you hold the stock yourself, don't you? Because you send.
Yeah, we do.
You pack and post everything yourself, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can imagine that having the stock you've got is one thing, having a whole other variety.
And I think, I know like people have, like units and all that, but again, that was something when we were approached saying about the business, and I didn't want to have a unit because I didn't want my hard-earned money going to somebody else. Well, a percentage of my hard-earned money, should I say. I'm not being greedy, but just I'm thinking of myself, because we all know in a business there's lots of other things that we have to pay for.
Yeah.
And that would have taken quite a bit of a chunk, having a unit. So that's why we've got the space. So that's why we decided to do it from home. As Shane calls it, the bedroom is his his warehouse or something he calls it. I'm like, yeah, okay, then call it what you want.
Yeah, well, that works. So Sammie had last week, it was the Sharp Edge Smoother she used as her product of the week. And I said to her, why does it work? And she was like, I don't know, it just does. So explain to us the science behind why it works and how it works.
In the method is that you're doing it, because then I go back to when I was trying for ages to get my sharp edges on my cake. You were doing it using 2 smoothers, and then when I say to people, when you look at cakes, and I know that people when they listen to this are not going to see what I mean, but it wasn't completely parallel, and on the top you could see where they'd used 2 smoothers where applying the pressure. Whereas with the Sharp Edge Smoother, because we do it the upside down method, and the pressure you're using on the very bottom of the smoother, that's where you're getting the paste to touch that plate. And when people come, when I'm teaching or when we show at Cake International or even on social media, and I'm saying to people, it's the pressure you are applying, and because you're rocking the smoother as and you're pushing the paste one way and pulling it back, the paste has only got 2 ways to go, down and up. And as it's going down, it creates that perfect sharp edge for you.
It's absolutely, I love it. It's
there's so many people said it's a game changer. Yeah. It's the favourite tool in their toolbox, and obviously we won an award for it a few years ago. And it speeds up the process of eliminating anything else, if you know what I mean. You don't need to have the 2 smoothers. And a lot of people will say, I've used your smoother, it was brilliant, and said, but I use this with it. And I said, that's fine, if you find that's helping with it. But as we show on the videos, you only need the one to do it. If they want to buy 2, they're happy. I'm happy to sell them 2, but you only need the one.
Because Sammie, you last week you said that you purposely mucked up a cake to prove that it worked.
Yeah. I did it really dodgy. I covered it really badly, and it was really good. It really came together.
Yeah, well, that's what people say when people say, why are you putting fingerprints in it? And that's like when I'm showing, I'm teaching here, and I'm saying just don't use your fingers, use the palms of your hand, because your fingers are going to do more indents on your cake, aren't they? And then I was saying to them, because you can hardly see any of my fingerprints in the cake from where I've covered it, so the fingerprints are going in to show that actually the smoother is going to be doing that while you're concentrating on getting those sharp edges. The rest of the smoother is smoothed out the cake, so therefore you don't have to flip it back over and go over it. And the amount of people that it always makes me laugh, because they say, right, I've smoothed the top, and I'm like, no, don't bother smoothing the top, just get it covered, flip it over, and it's going to be done for you. And it's just like that people stand back and go, wow, really? And it's like, yeah.
Well, it revolutionised your life, didn't it, Sammie?
Oh,
yeah.
That's good to hear, isn't it?
And I was raving about it to my sister, because my sister listens to the podcast, and as she had my dogs this morning, and when I picked them up, she was saying, you're doing the smoother today, it's the smoother lady.
And do you know what it is? And it is, they always say the best form of advertising is word of mouth. Yeah. And that's what it is. If it's in a group and then someone said, they've got a picture of the smoother behind, where did you get that from? Or somebody's using it online, where did you get that from? And that's what it is. And that is, to me, and I can remember somebody saying to me years ago, it's the best form of advertisement. And it's the same as, like, you can advertise your cake business, that you do wedding cakes everywhere. It's a person who's been to the wedding or they've had a christening cake. That's how it goes along.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And that's always really nice as well, isn't it, when somebody comes back to you and says, I had your cake.
Yeah,
or,
definitely.
I love the look of your cake. Okay. So it's me now, isn't it? Sorry.
It is. So, we always get like this.
Which one am I? Okay, so you've got a huge Facebook community, haven't you, with your online community? What motivated you to create this, and what can our listeners expect if they sign up for it?
Well, we have the Facebook one and we have the Circle one. So the Facebook one was started again because we did a business course, and I was all like, oh no, I'm not having a Facebook page, this, because we know how many Facebook groups that they are, and some of them aren't. aren't pleasant to be in. And I thought, I don't really want to have that.
Yeah.
I want to be, and you've seen me, I'm like, quite happy and joyous, and I don't like negativity. I know you have to be negative sometimes, but there's too much negativity around at the moment when it comes to cakes, and people jump on the bandwagon, and if you, my kind of motto is, if you don't like it, then don't say anything. You can give criticism, but be nice with your your criticism. That, and a lot of the groups, and I didn't really want to do that, but I did it, and it just grew. But we have an online community now, because a lot of the people who bought tutorials weren't on social media, so it's apart from social media.
I think I'm on both.
So that's
I think I am.
Are you?
Yeah.
So,
we get the email
Facebook
as well.
I'm not saying it's kind of died down, but we pay more attention to the circle one now, because that's where we hope to load all the tutorials and videos, like the free stuff that people can get, and obviously there's the paid stuff in there as well. It was kind of to protect my not listen to tutorials, but my bits and bobs, if you know what I mean. I can't think of the right word, but it's to protect it more, because so many people would download something and say it was that they created it. And you know yourself when you look at something and think, well, that's my method that is there, or that was my style, I did that. And there's too much of that about on social media. So that was why we have an online one, which is separate from social media. And it's obviously one that it's like having another website that we had to pay for, but people could join for free with and get all the benefits of being off social media.
Yeah. Because social media, especially, the Facebook groups, some of them are a very ugly place right now, aren't they? They're not nice. Yeah. And I suppose if you're making the effort to go somewhere, because Facebook's kind of, you go on it, things pop up. It's kind of easy, isn't it? If you're making the effort to go into another group off Facebook, that's at least people are there for the right reason, aren't they? There,
exactly, and there's not, I have to admit, there's not I haven't seen any negativity on the circle one, because we tried to make it not kind of pretty, but very friendly, so people can find things a lot quicker than having to, it's kind of, and I always say to people, it's got a little search button, a bit like Google, but just a teeny tiny minor of what Google is. So you just put your question or something in there, and it will pop up whatever people have said in the feeds or tutorials. So that's why it was suggested to me, and I thought, well, I'm not too sure. It costs us a lot of money, as things do, but at least I know that my things are protected there more than what they would be in
and
a group.
I like the email you send out as well, your weekly email.
That's there's a little guy in the background who does that for me. So So he come up with the idea, and I said, well, it's like another touch to it. Well, this is what, if you haven't been on this week, this is what you've missed. And we try to keep it kind of like Facebook with like the motivation.
Well, it comes across
reminders.
Comes across of your enthusiasm and your happiness of like, wow, this has happened this week. This is what we're going to do. Da, 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 da.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you have to come across as that, because, we all know how hard it is, but, being a cake maker, and that there are good times and there's bad times. And I try not to put across about the bad times, but I think, if you're going through it, don't worry. This has happened to me. So don't worry, it's just a natural process that you're going to be going through. And yeah, that's fine. Sorry, Shane's just asking me something about the dog.
That's your husband's so lovely.
And that's what I tried to make it across that, and I always feel embarrassed about this, because you're well famous, and I'm like, well, I'm not, it's just me, and I try to, because I'm just another cake maker who's got the experience behind it. I know I've won awards, but I just try to keep it, I can't put it grounded.
It's difficult though, because I think sometimes when you're in your own kitchen on your own, you're just you on your own in the kitchen, aren't you? But then when you go out and people go, oh, it's you.
And I'm like, what?
It's just me. I don't know what you're doing.
It is lovely, because it's nice that they followed my journey, and it's nice when they come back and said, oh, I watch you all the time, and I know there's a question coming up in a minute, and it is a question that went mad over on social medias. So it's like, I do this now because you showed me how to do it, and oh, that's good. I'm glad it's working for you.
So what are some of the most rewarding aspects of running that online community? And do you have any particularly heartwarming stories or connections that have come out of it?
I would say people, obviously, if you join something, you want to get something out of it. And I think and it's not necessarily having, because I'm trying to get them into the community so they buy a product.
Yeah.
It's they obviously want to learn something that's going to help them through their business, and to have a little bit more support than what you would do on social media, because as we said, what the groups are like. And I think seeing somebody who's come in, and I'd probably say there's probably about 10 ladies that are in the lounge. For when I first started with tutorials, they started following me. So when they first started doing the paid ones, they'd buy them and then they'd join the membership. To see them grow from quite a nervous person, and to say, and to kind of, when they post something, said, "Oh, I bought Carol's recipes ages ago. They're the best thing since the bee's knees." And I think, well, I'm thinking, oh, that's so lovely to say. They didn't need to say it, but obviously they tried it and it's working for them. And I think that, for me, is I can see how they're changing from the first time that they came in to where they are now. That their journey, they might not see themselves, and then I'll say the difference, you're so much confident now than what you were when you first, sort of dipped your toes into the water. And I think that, for me, is lovely, and it speaks for itself, I think.
Because I was looking in there yesterday, because I knew we were talking to you today, so I was looking in there yesterday, and so down one side there's all like different topics and everything, isn't there? And you can pick your topic, and it's just a really nice place it feels like a nice safe place.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted it to be as well, so that it was, that people felt safe, that nothing was going to get, not so reported, but shared out of the group, unless people say, I'll say, do you mind me sharing that image, the picture of your cake? And they're like, oh no, share it. So and that's when I will say that. But I think because, and I said to the guys who built it, I said I want it to be really easy and simple, so that they can go around the site quite easily without thinking, oh my God, I don't know where to find this or find that. So, because there's nothing worse when you go into something and you can't find it, and then you're going to get stressed. And to me, I put it all out nice and easy, so they can, like you say, the hints and tips, or the video tutorials, or recommended tools and equipment, things like that. So it was easy enough, so that when they're stuck on something, I remember Carol did something, like I'll go back and have a look through there. And it's the same with all the memberships. I have it all laid out easy, so they can find it all.
Where, if anyone wanted to sign up and they're not a member, how would they do that right now?
The Wedding Lounge is opening again in March. I think it's the back end of the March. I have to speak to a lady who's sorting that out for me. So that opens, I think it's about 10 days. So that will be opening again. We always probably do twice a year. We don't keep the doors open all the time, because, not saying money's necessarily tight, but people, the enthusiasm is like the beginning of the wedding season. Yeah. Sorry, I just had to grab a bit of water. So you get like kind of the rush that people want to learn these techniques and learn how to go, what to do for their wedding business. And then we open it up at Cake International, because people are asking about that. Yeah. So that when the wedding season is slowing down, people can start to think about, okay, wedding fairs, how am I going to get more clients and that. So again, I say it's opening in March, end of March, and there will be in the newsletter, and we'll be posting it saying it's going to be open. And we'll have like master classes, so people can get like a little hint of what's actually inside the membership as well.
Excellent. Wonderful.
That's pretty cool. So I'm going to say this question, but it's actually come from Bronya. Shall I speak like you, Bronya? I'm always so intrigued when I see you filling your cakes with buttercream, because you use a really thick dough-like buttercream. Is this something you have developed yourself, or were you taught it?
So, as when people come here, they always, that some of them have seen it, and they say, oh, we've seen the videos of your really thick buttercream. And then when they're actually here, it's, well, actually, it's not as thick as what it looks online. And
it's like a dough, though, isn't it? It's like
I wouldn't say it's doughy, but when it's been in the fridge, it probably does look like that. But when it comes, as we know, when butter comes out the fridge, it does get a lot softer. And that's what happens with the buttercream. And the reason I did this is, like, we all, when we're starting off somewhere and, things aren't going as well as what we wanted them to be, and we were doing wonky cakes, we were doing, obviously the stack cakes and what have you. It was just like, there's got to be a reason why the cake always bulges. And the two reasons why it always bulges is you overfill it and your buttercream's too soft. So a lot of people see, they're piping buttercream onto their cakes at the same consistency as what they would do their cupcakes. But when it's a cake, it needs to be firmer than a buttercream. cupcake texture.
Yeah.
So when people come here and it's like, so it's probably been out the fridge probably about an hour and a half, so it does tend to be soft, and they pick it up and they're like, and I do a little demonstration first of all, and they're all like, so I'm opening my mouth and say, oh my God, and then I said, right, now it's your turn. And they're like, oh my God, and they can taste it as well. And it is just so much quicker. So when they see actually what is happening with that thicker buttercream, and they see the difference, the amount of people I've converted to it is just unbelievable.
So, but it's not. It's not actually thicker; it's colder. Is that what you're saying? Then it's a colder.
No, it's not. No, it's not colder. It's just you're adding more icing sugar into your buttercream than what you would normally do.
Okay.
And people ask me what's the weight, and I can't remember the weight of it because I'm just like, you girls are probably just the same as me. In it goes.
Yeah.
Shove it in. And I just know once the machine starts to make a certain noise, I think, that's the thickness of my buttercream and all that's what I need. And I use salted butter as well, which because a lot of people said you tend to say, oh, that's going to be really sickly, it's going to be really sweet. And I think, well, don't comment on something unless you know it yourself. So honestly, ladies, just give it a try. Just add more buttercream add more ice and sugar into your butter. You use salted butter as well because it counteracts sweetness.
That's right, I knew that.
And it is just making it thick. It's not necessarily when you take out the machine and think, oh God, I can't press my fingers into it. If it just feels soft, it's perfect. And then we're just literally flattening it and putting on there. And then they're all just like, it just saves so much time. I don't need a piping bag. I don't need my palette knife. And it's just cutting out something that you don't really need to have. But it's just the way I do it. And a lot of people have, taken to it as well, because they said it's just quicker and you work more efficiently as well.
Because I've watched you do it, and I'm always so intrigued.
Bronya's spoken to me about it quite a few times.
Adding some more ice and sugar to it, and people, buttercream is sweet, but so is sugar paste, and so is your cake. That makes a difference into it, and
sweet is sweet.
It's just like off my shoulders. I just think, well, and as I always say to everybody, and you've probably heard me bang on about it so many times, everybody has their own methods of doing things. Their ingredients are different. They're in different countries in the world. What works for you is the right way.
Yeah. I was talking about that was like on my on the podcast last week. I was saying about how things are very different from country. Even countries like in America, ingredients are different, ovens are different. All these things, they're all different. So you just make it work for. I'll make sure it does work.
So I saw something on, and again, I think this is in America, and it's just like, how to thicken your cream for filling your cake. And I thought, really, they should put a sign on where we're not in UK, but we're not, because we can't do
how to stabilised whipped cream.
Top on and go, oh, I'm sorry, but I'm in the UK, we're not allowed to use that because I'm going to get whipped on it.
Yeah, because there is things that because the Americans, they use a lot of stabilised whipped cream, and they use a lot of cream cheese as well that we wouldn't use.
We just no. I wouldn't say we're not allowed, but we're not allowed. But it's you can't do it as a business, can you? If you're making a cake for your mum, it's different, isn't it? So.
If you kill your mum or make her poorly, it's a bit different.
You're going to take that bit out, aren't you?
Yeah. No. Right. I think we've got out of sync, Sammie. So that next one is yours. Do you want to do that one? Because that's definitely your question.
Okay. What are your goals for the future of Cakes by Carol? Any new exciting projects or expansions on the horizon?
Wow. I say my goals is obviously just to eventually stop doing the cakes and to do more of the online teaching, and because that's what people just keep asking me all the time, and having a lot of people asking me for doing like the one-to-ones and the classes or wedding cakes. The wedding cakes is kind of a bit more loaded into them than the normal birthday cake or the master of the basics class type of thing. So I think we're trying to concentrate on that, and people are asking me for all sorts, how do you do your emails, how do you do this, and a lot of the things that people need support with. So I was listening to one of your pods the other day, and it was saying about so many people, podcasts should I say, are expecting things for free all the time, whereas there's only a certain amount of information that you can give away, but as you ladies know, it's all our tried and tested methods and ways of that we've built up through the years. And that's what people are asking for. The genuine people, who message me or email and say, have you got this? Have you got a tutorial coming out for this? And, or yes, we have, or that type of thing. And then people say, okay, we'll wait for it to come out.
Wonderful. So
and it's basically that, to try and stop doing the cakes as much and more of the teaching.
I must say, I think your website is really nice.
Yeah, it is. It's so easy, isn't it? Yeah.
And again, I go back to thinking, when to go onto websites. Yeah, it's coming a cup of tea now. I go back to, it's like when you go on a website, and how frustrating is it when you go onto something and it's not loading. And I said to the guy who developed it, and he's been on a website guy for years, and he's absolutely brilliant. And I say, I want it nice and easy to come across as if it was me, not, like an AI generated and all that. So, when you come up with it again, I was like, oh, it's really nice. It's so easy to go round. And
cohesive. I hope that's the right word.
Good word.
Cohesive.
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 Yeah. Good word. Yeah. So with your actual cakes, because I've stopped making wedding cakes and birthday cakes now, although saying that, I've got one sat here right now from one of my neighbours, but she's 84, that's different. But I've stopped making cakes, and it was quite a difficult thing to do, to actually go, no, I'm not making wedding cakes anymore. Yeah. How hard do you think that will be for you to
I think
stop?
It's going to be really, really hard, because I love the wedding cakes. Yeah. That the trends change so much. I mean, we just know this is the wedding cake, and there's the wedding cake, and the wedding cake, and they're all completely different, aren't they? And I have a love for ruffles and textures and different techniques, and I love doing that. And the structured cakes I absolutely love, because just push the boundaries a bit with it. So I think for me to say, am I going to stop in there? I don't know, because I'm still going to obviously make my grandchild's birthday cakes, and it's just I haven't got I think it's going to be a really hard thing to try and say, right, the penny's coming off, I'm not doing it anymore.
It's very difficult. Very difficult.
Especially when we're surrounded by, all this cake stuff. Like one of the ladies said the other day, gosh, you've got so much stuff, haven't you? I said, well, probably that in the corner I don't use, because that's when I first started doing cakes, moulds and gutters and that. And, I don't use anymore. But you accumulate so many things, don't you, being a cake maker? And I think it will be hard. And, a lot of people say, well, how can you take a booking on in 2 years' time? And I think I'm kind of looking at that now and thinking, do I really want to be doing a cake in 3 years' time? Because the more added pressure was we're getting older, your joints start to hurt a bit.
Do you know what? I think actually that's something that people don't talk about is actually, and we're all women of a similar age, and it gets harder. The hips start hurting, the knees start hurting, and standing up for long periods. And I don't think anyone in the cake industry really talks about that enough. It's really heavy on the body.
No, well, I suffer with chronic pain. It's pelvic chronic pain. So rolling out paste, standing up or sitting down for too long, I've got to be really careful with. Luckily, I've got a good supportive husband who helps me do bits and bobs, and having a sheeter works as well. So, but it does take a hard, especially when you're working on like a structured cake or a wedding cake, when you're working for many hours, it can take it out on you, really. Because I had the cakes last week and the teaching, and then Sunday I was just like,
it takes time to recover, doesn't it? You've got to, you have to stop.
And I think, and like you said, because we are getting older, it does take it out a bit more on you. I'm no spring chick anymore, even though I tried to be a spring chick, but it doesn't always work, does it?
We all try, but we all think we're 18 years old. Never mind.
God.
So if you got, yeah, I know, wouldn't it? Or would it? No. I don't know.
Yeah, I know, yeah. To think how your minds have changed over the years as well, hasn't it? So, yeah.
I don't think I'd like to be 18 now, though. I quite liked being 18 when I was 18.
No, yeah. And I was saying it to my daughter, and I said, how things have changed, even like from a baby, and I said, I don't pity her, but I'm thinking I'm not looking forward to him going to school and what they'll pressurise at school and all that way, because it is completely different. But things, they obviously change for a reason, don't they? So
yeah. I'm glad I was 18 when I was. That's all I'm going to. I didn't have a mobile phone. Yeah. That was good. So you've got more wedding. So you're thinking you'll be doing more wedding cake tutorials. Is that where you're heading towards?
Yes, we are doing. We're more at having the classes, face-to-face classes for weddings, because people want to learn more of the techniques. And as people, when they come here, saying it's all right following a tutorial online when you've got it, but actually when you actually do it face-to-face, it is completely different, because you've got the hands-on. And we only do small classes here. We only take 4. We purposely built the studio so that it was to take 4 on, because I think if you've got big class, you can't keep an eye on everybody. And I, if I can see somebody struggling, then I'll go over to that person and help, and then again get back to the other person. So, and that's what people like, because here it's only small, and I've got time to give them, the help if needed.
And it's nice to be able, when you're doing a class, you can actually say, how do I do this? How do I do this? Questions that you can't ask if you're watching it on a video.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We have it on, in the circle when they buy the Christmas membership or the Halloween or certain membership. There's a support group as well. So I said to people, it's not on all tutorials. There's only certain amounts when it's got quite a lot. And just if you're stuck for anything, just pop it in there. Because if I don't answer straight away, one of the other members will jump on and say, "Well, Carol said, try that, look in that area or do that." And like you say, when you've got a tutorial online, you feel that you don't want to help, that you've been a pest, help is that, asking that question. And I always say to people, ask the question, because there may be somebody else who's too scared to ask that question. So you'll be helping that person out as well.
Are there any more products on the horizon? Or
I think the stress of doing the smoother, because like I said, that took 2.5 years to get to market. Because the tooling was made in China and then it was shipped out here to a company just up the road, so that we could actually go and see how it works on that. And it costs an arm and a leg. I don't know how people, obviously people do it all the time, but I don't know how they do it. And I think because there's so many avenues in my businesses. It's not the wedding cakes, it's the tooling, it's the tutorials and all other stuff going on. I don't think I could deal with the stress of it all again.
Did you have to get
people say it does get easier?
Did you have to get a patent for it as well?
No, we didn't go down the patent route, because again, that was an arm and a leg, but it is protected with trademark, copyright, and something else which I can't think of, but that's why we had it all put on the smoother as well, so saying that it was copyright and trace, so nobody. And we have been lucky in one respect, because I know that a lot of molds especially do get copied a lot, don't they? We have people who have said they bought a sharp edge smoother and it's broken or it's damaged and everything, and it goes into a group and it all explodes, doesn't it? And then I get said, "Oh, you've got to check this out because I'm not in the group." And I said, "It's not my smoother. You can clearly see the difference."
I remember when the Pro Froster came out, and there were so many fake Pro Frosters.
Oh, there is still now, isn't there?
And the actual real Pro Froster works really well, but if you've got the fake one, they never worked as well. And the battering that Pro Froster got, because they weren't working, and they were just all fakes. They weren't real.
I remember when it first came out, and it was the green one, wasn't it? The greeny blue one that came out first of all. And I tried it, and I was like, "Oh, it doesn't work," that. And then, but they must have done something to the Pro Froster, and brought it back out again. And I always rave about it, because it's another one of those tools that is in your box that is going to cut out a lot of time, and we teach that here with the Pro Froster. So and it's hard to get hold of as well, isn't it? So we always buy them in bulk so that they can buy them here when we teach, because the difference of people working on it, they're just like, "Oh my god, I didn't think there was anything like this before." It's all like bench scrapers.
I use mine all the time.
It's I know I was really hesitant for quite a while. I'm like, "Oh, it's just another tool," and then I use it. I'm like, "Oh my god, why have I not used this?"
I know. And I remember I did a live once in one of the groups, and I said, and the picture I put is like, "Have you got one of these, as in a Pro Froster, and have you used it, or do you know how to use it?" And 99% of the people come out and said, "I have one, I've not used it, and I don't know how to use it." So when I did the live, and I was showing it again, and a couple of ladies, I hope to God you're not listening. I can't remember this, but a couple of ladies said, "Oh my God, I've been using it upside down."
Great. Classic.
And I was like,
how
can you use this upside down? But well, there obviously were. But, well, we just all laughed on it, and they were like, "Oh God, Carol, I'm just so glad that I watched your live." And they were saying, "Where can you get it from? We know that this is the best tool." And I said, "Well, it's just cuts you out. I mean, there's the upside down method that you can do it as well. But I think if you're doing a wedding cake or a stack cake and you want the layers to be all the same depth, Pro Froster is something you've got to have.
But saying that must be, that's got to be something that's got to be like a weakness in the Pro Froster marketing, that if people weren't using it correctly or they're using it upside down.
So this is why I do tutorials with my smoother.
See,
because
there
I think
you
there's nothing worse than getting a tool and you don't know how to use it.
I think I said that last week, didn't I? You could buy it and you get the 2 free tutorials with it, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. And then it was like, so we just have at first I was quite guarded by it, but I thought I'm not going to give my hints, my top secrets away. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to have to. And if you don't, you're not going to get the sales, are you? And I think, again, go back to word of mouth when people show it on Instagram or any of the pages and just like, where did you get that from? I said, well, you haven't got one. And, and then people say, well, where's the link? And you get tagged in it all the time. And I think that is, it is hard doing the marketing, but I think you have to do it.
Yeah. So you've got all your product in your house, you send them out direct from you, because when Sammie did product of the week last week, she actually said, please go to Carol, don't buy it somewhere else, because then Carol gets the full margin. So you do all of the packing and picking and everything yourself, don't you?
We do all the they actually, the warehouse or the manufacturer, they pack it into the little bag that you got, Sammie, with the little I forget the actual the card, but that goes with it, and we send it all off to them, and then when the tools pack they do all that, and then they just box them up, and then we have the boxes delivered here, and that's how we do all the packaging here, and then it gets sent out all over the world wherever it goes. We have a few suppliers. I think we're about 3 in UK. Not too sure Zoe does it now because she doesn't do an online store, does she, anymore, Zoe? But I can't remember. I think it's Dunstable House and somebody in Liverpool, I think. But there's a few stores. I think there's one in America, one in Canada, and somebody in Spain is about to purchase them as
good.
well. So.
That's good for you.
Yeah, but it does. It was, I think, when we first got the inquiry, people are putting orders in. Can you send it, overseas? We were like, what? And it has. We send them all over the place. When we first started doing, we had a little map. So of course, when it went to a new country, we just scrub off the map and say that, and it just exploded. It just goes all over the place. Like Hong Kong, Seychelles, all over the place.
Wow. Do you know, I sometimes look at our analytics for the podcast, and it's like, someone in Russia listened this week, and you're like, what?
I know. You just think, what? How?
We had a message from somebody last week from Australia, didn't we?
Yeah. It's like, it's great. It's so rewarding. Yeah, it's just it makes you feel like you're out there.
Thinking that the listening should think,
you're helping other people.
They're thinking, well, they've obviously listened to you, or they're buying the products because they haven't got the products there.
Yeah.
And so many times, America or Australia normally got tools before us, haven't they? And it's just like we're quite behind with a lot of things, but it's just like, well, I've got a tool that they haven't got, and we get asked about it all the time, and we have no control over the shipping, so we try to keep the shipping down as much as we can, but it's just so expensive to send stuff out, and I can understand, but I'm like, if I want something, I'll go anyway to get it.
Oh, well, thank you so much for joining us today, Carol. It's been
a pleasure. It's been lovely chatting away.
Always wonderful to chat to you. And we could always chat forever and ever and ever, because some people are just easy to chat to, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, And you're really easy to listen to as well.
You.
I was the night before, I think last week I was doing something there, and I actually on a loudspeaker, but last night I had it in the ears, and Shane's going, he's chatting when I'm listening to the ladies, be quiet.
So I took a picture of him at Cake International, and it comes up on my Google Home thingy, the photos. And because of the way I've taken the photo, he looks like his arms reach to the floor. He looks like he's got the longest arms. I must try and find it and send it to you. Because it comes up a lot. I think it's because I peer in at it and laugh.
Right, so Carol, okay, please tell our listeners where we can find you online, website.
So I'm on Instagram. It's just Cakes by Carol. Try to keep it as plain and simple so people can find me. TikTok is the same. Facebook and the Circle one. I've had to write this down because there's a bit. It says cakesbycarol.circle.home. Well, you ladies have the link because you're both in there anyway, but that's the one. They have to go. It's a bit of a ignores and when we had to get in there, but it's protecting the community because people think once they've filled in that form that they're actually in, but you have to activate your account. So
I didn't find it that hard. I thought it was quite easy.
No. Didn't you? That's all right. That's good to know then,
And they can go through your website, just through your Cakes by Carol website and find the community.
Links are all on. They're on social media. They're on Facebook as well. TikTok's got the link to it as well. And the website's got the link. They've got this in various places on the website, but it also says join the community. So
I will also put in on the show notes on this the links as well, so people can go straight from this podcast straight to your links as well.
Thank you, ladies.
But thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
And we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Yeah, in November.
Yes.
You know it.
Oh, don't.
We'll have to get one of you trying the smoother out on the stand.
Oh, well, Sammie, because I don't do wedding cakes anymore, so I don't touch fondant anymore at all. But Sammie, you know, she's there.
There you go. Then I'm holding you to it now, Sammie.
Doing the action.
Doing the workout. Oh, well, thank you so much. And we will see you soon.
See you soon.
Yeah, see you soon.
Bye.
Take care, ladies. Bye.
Wow. Wasn't she lovely?
She was amazing.
Carol's always lovely to chat to, though, isn't she?
Yeah. She's always a pleasure, always happy.
Yeah.
I love meeting her, and I've loved doing a podcast with her.
I haven't watched any of her tutorials, but I'm going to go and watch some now because I think they'd be amazing, because if her tutorials are anything like her, they're going to be good, aren't they? They're really going to be good.
Yes.
And her buttercream, seriously, scroll back through some of her Instagram or something and find her buttercream.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a go. It looks amazing. It looks so good.
It's a good idea.
Yes. So we, in our Patreon, we are going to be chatting a little bit through Carol's community, her circle community, and the features that we are enjoying on there. So head over to Patreon, patreon.com/the Business of Cake Making Podcast. We've got a product of the week. We've got a top tip.
Yeah.
And we'll be over there in a minute.
I tell you what, I'm just going to tease everyone by doing a product of the week, product of the week, product of the week. Over on Patreon now.
Because we were saying, I bet people are missing this.
Yeah.
If you do miss our product of the week and our top tips, they are every week. Every week we're still doing them over on Patreon. Head over and have a look. And also, you get to see the video version of this, where Sammie is looking very much like David Bowie from Labyrinth today.
I don't know what's happened, but it's a good look, isn't it?
It is a good look. It's a good look. Oh, yes, but we'll see you over on Patreon then.
Okie dokie. Bye-bye.
You look like David Bowie from Labyrinth.
I do.
Sorry. Okay, sorry. All right, go on.
Okay.